Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Guys, welcome to Wholesale Hotline. I want to open up this show by telling everybody a little bit about the bro code, okay?
No.
So here's the thing, is if you have a friend, okay, you have a friend, it doesn't matter if you like or dislike their girlfriend or their boyfriend, when they break up, should you ever talk crap about their ex?
I didn't know this. Okay, so I've said some terrible things to friends of mine about the people that they broke up with. I'm not going to say any names or anything, but one of my very good friends broke up with somebody who I actually thought was a very nice person. You know, she's a very nice girl. So there wasn't a lot to say about her because she was cool.
Yeah.
But I just said, to be supportive, I was like, bro, good thing you guys broke up because she looked like she smelled bad.
Yeah, exactly. She sucked.
I've
now done this 3 times with very close people, very, very close people, business partners, people that work with me. And I say stuff like, yeah, you're better off, man. That person sucked. And even though you don't actually think it, why is it a bad idea?
Because they get back together. Because people are weak.
No, it's because making up
is better than what?
Than the first time. I think the second time.
You think the second rodeo is better than the first rodeo?
I think the second rodeo is better than the first rodeo.
Guys, in the chat, let us know. Do you guys like leftovers or do you like meals the first day that they were delivered? That just wondering. Is food better in the fridge after it's been hanging out a little while? Or
good to see you, bro.
You too.
When was the last time I saw you?
I mean, it's Montana, I think, was the last time we hung out, really.
Yep, Montana. Now we're going to talk about the wholesale market. We're going to talk about some people in here have never gotten a deal before, so we're going to give you guys some good updates on how to get your first deal. I had a lot of people DM me today saying, Pace, how do I get started? Pace, where do I go? What's the first thing I should do? Mahmoud, do you remember the first time you asked that question? Okay. The greatest moment in your life in the wholesale world is when you finally look back at that question and go, man, I can't believe I was stuck on that thing for so long, which is how to get started. So we'll talk about that today. How do I scale? What does the market look like? Are you excited about wholesale, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? We're going to jump into that.
Dope.
But man, both you and I have both been traveling a lot.
Dude, you have been all over the place. I took a little bit of a summer sabbatical. I had my daughter come in from Canada, and it was, one of my girls is a senior now in high school. She's about to turn 18. And, when a child turns 18, what is the likelihood that you're going to get another really big summer where you get to go away for, over a month? So we just took this as the opportunity to, get the 2 girls out, my wife out, and we traveled Europe, hung out with each other for a month and a half, just, in each other's faces all summer long. And it was a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed the time, got to get to know both of my girls a little bit better. They grow up so quickly and their minds evolve by the minute. And so it's just nice as a dad to be able to touch base and see, how are you today? What's going on in your life right now?
Yeah, it's a fine balance of life. I was listening to Kim Kardashian, of all people. Hate her or love her. She was...
What's the hate?
Well, some people don't like the whole influencer thing and whatever else. But she had this really great story. She said that with the California wildfires, she's had to vacate her property about 5 times the last 12 months. First time she vacated the property, she took like half a day to get all the like the really important designer stuff that was like $50,000 shoes, $100,000 dress. And then she got like the photos of the family. She got the blanket that she remembered from being 12. She got the kids' photos. She got all that kind of stuff.
That one Christmas of her and OJ.
Exactly. Was that a real thing?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So she got all the cool things and she loaded up in basically in a hotel, right, for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had to move it all back in.
Right.
Wildfire comes again a second time. She's like, second time around, I literally just took the kids' blankets, the memorabilia. I left all the designer stuff. I realized that didn't mean anything at all. And then same thing, moved into a hotel for a month, moved back into the house. A couple months later, another wildfire. So the third time that she took all her stuff out of the property, it was just her and the kids. And she said the point of the story is like literally nothing matters except for me and my family. And I think some of these material possessions mattered, but these wildfires really kind of threw that in front of my face. Same thing with you traveling this summer, right? You just getting right to the point, traveling around. You guys went to Amsterdam. You guys went to
we were
Greece,
in Italy, Greece, England. I went back to our house in LA, hung out with you in Montana, went to Cabo with the Almusas. Then I went to Colombia for my buddy's getting married. It was craziness.
Basically just a bunch of creating memories.
Lots of memories, bro.
Creating memories. It wasn't like you're driving around in some Lamborghini and flying private jets and eating caviar every day. It was literally just hanging out, creating memories.
Correct.
And what I love about it is that you could take a sabbatical. You could take 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks because you have a business.
Yes, sir.
And I know this for sure because you and I share an office.
Yep.
I've got two of my businesses in the same office that you have a massive operation in. So I get to go in this building and I look at this massive operation and I'm like, there's nobody in this business. Nobody. I've been around the country 15 times around. And I've never met one person that has anywhere near as close to a scaled operation as you do in wholesale.
Thank you, bro.
It's incredibly impressive.
It's great.
And so why is that important? It's important because this business really can create financial freedom, allow you to go, I'm going to take 6 weeks off if I want.
Right.
My version of that this year was going up to Montana and spending a month and a half on the road, visiting 4 national parks, living in the Airstream with my wife and kids, and just getting down to like the bare necessities of just living in a metal can. Right?
How did you like that, by the way? Because I know you and Laura and the kids to be simple. You guys are not also the type that are like, we need all these bells and whistles and whatnot. And so like you guys can really all the time I've spent with you, I know that the only thing that you care about are your girls,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everything else can kind of fall by the wayside. But if you got Laura and your girls and Asher, that's all you need, right?
Right.
And so having that opportunity, being in the Airstream, how did you feel this summer, dude? Because you look like you were having the time of your life, and the girls look like they were having the time of their life. Laura's pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and so how did that all work out? The dynamic of it with Laura being pregnant, having the 2 kids with you, 3 kids with you at some points. Is it something that you would say to yourself, I would do this for a year?
Oh, yeah.
This is the kind of lifestyle I prefer over like a homestead. What are your thoughts? Because for me, what you guys did all summer, that's a dream, dog.
Yeah. It's we did it 3 years ago. You did it with us. You were in Malibu.
Yes, till I died.
Was it your ankle?
Yeah, I broke my ankle there.
Your ankle. 3 years ago we did it, and my regret for doing it then, I did it for 5 months straight at that time. My regret was that we were moving around too much. So this time around we were like, let's stay in each location a week.
Got it.
And so we really hung out. We did 4th of July up in Utah. I spent a lot of time with Steve Harwood from PCS, and did a ton of stuff with Jerry this summer because his family vacations up in Montana. And so I was able to mix work because that's my fear. I operate actually out of fear. I don't even operate out of motivation. I am fearful of ever becoming something I don't want to be. And I don't want to say what that is right here because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I have a family member I don't want to be anything like.
Got it.
And I'm fearful of becoming that person. And so I'm always wanting to work because I'm basically running away from that fear, if that makes sense. And so I like intermingling work and pleasure. I can't it's hard for me to go, I'm taking 4 weeks off.
Yeah.
it's easy for me to go, I'm hanging out with Jamil in Montana, Jerry in Montana, Brent here, and, Jerry in Puerto Rico. I just got back from Puerto Rico with Jerry. I'm working and also kind of having leisure. I also just realized through all of that, I'm like, no, I have such a good operation and good partners, and I've built, this amazing company. You forget that you don't have to grind all the time.
Right.
You grind for so long and so hard and so consistently that you forget that you are allowed to stop.
Dude, and you want to know when I had this realization was truthfully, on the 7th of August, when all my wires start hitting in my world, right? I'm like, because I didn't work July. Right. I mean, I did, but I didn't. I did, I was on my Astro calls. Those were twice a week. I still did the things that really move my soul. Like you, when you're hanging with the Subto family, that moves your spirit, right? When I get to hang out with the Astro community, it moves my spirit. So it never feels like I'm working in fact, it feels like I'm doing something that fulfills me when I get to do those calls. So I don't consider it work, but everything else was gone, right? But the money still showed up. And I'm like, man, this is phenomenal. And I actually had a moment where I looked at Nat and I said, is it time? For real.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation because I had dinner the other day in Puerto Rico with a young girl. She had just graduated Ivy League school, and she's 19 years old. And the problem with being 19 is you lack one thing. What's the one thing you guys lack? You guys are really young. What do you guys know what you lack? No. Patience.
Pubic hair?
You guys lack patience. You want it now. You want it yesterday. And even if you accomplish and you have $100,000 a month, guess what? You feel like you haven't accomplished much. Mahmood, is this hitting home with you? Okay. So I'm talking to this girl and she's like, well, when is this? And when can I slow down? And I'm like, you haven't even started.
Right.
You literally have to understand that the fact that you and I are having this conversation, that we made it 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
right.
5 years ago,
right.
and we're just coming to the realization that it's okay for us to take 5 weeks off. That should tell you how long it takes and how conditioned you become to the grind for so long that one day you have to shake yourself out of the grind.
Yep.
In fact, it's your team. It's my team that's like, hey, maybe you should slow down a little bit. We got this.
Right. Right.
Right. And so, anyway, it's interesting, but that's what wholesaling real estate and fixing and flipping and buying and holding can do for you. And so, let's jump into it today. What do you say?
Get it. I'm excited.
Amazing. Oh, that's cool. Anna Wynn says, my teenage daughter's name is Patience, my constant reminder. I love it. Yeah. See, Tech says, yeah, I want it now. I ain't waiting till I'm 65 or even 45. There's celebs making millions in their 20s, but don't dare tell me to be patient in real estate. This old man, this ain't acting. Okay. What I find interesting is that people will go to college to become doctors 12, sometimes 16 years after their tenure, their residency and all that kind of stuff to make $300,000, $400,000.
Real quick.
Yeah.
They're saying, I want to go fast. But bro, you went fast. I went fast. Guys, don't take what he's saying right now as we didn't go fast. Understand that like our world's changed in 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Right. We rode this trajectory and we've exploded in our lives and things are phenomenal. But relatively speaking, 5 to 7 years to go from, a regular life to having a scaled operation is not slow.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too. I want you guys to pay attention to this. This is something I don't think I've ever talked about. So I'll just be very blunt and open here. Take notes of this, you young whippersnappers. Because like for you guys, a lot of money is taking home 20 grand a month, right? Like if I could take 20 grand home a month, free and clear, I've paid all the bills, I've paid the marketing, and I could take 20 grand home a month. Is that not life-changing money for most people? Especially guys that don't even have facial hair, right? I remember when I was 24 years old, I told myself, because this was the environment that I was in, if I could just make $5,000 a month, I'd be set.
I remember feeling like that too.
Okay. You guys have similar numbers in your mind right now because that's who you're hanging out with. You're hanging out with other people making 10 grand a month, 12 grand a month, 20 grand a month. You see people on IG making 100 grand a month or 200 grand a month, but you're not hanging out with those people that often. Okay. Now, maybe there's some people in real estate that are doing $100,000 months, but are they taking home $100,000, Mahmood? Is that how it works? No, it's not how it works. So for me, my first number, so you guys got to understand, your first number is what you're thinking about. And when I say I'm still grinding, it's because my number has changed 50 different times over that process.
Right.
So I have hit these moments of success every 6 to 18 months, but now your viewpoint, your vantage point, the things you want in your life change and expand. And what you now know is a reality, and what is real for you, it's a possibility. You go, oh my gosh, my number's no longer 5 grand a month. My number's now 20 grand a month.
And then very soon
it's 100 grand.
Yeah, 20. Well, I mean, look, bro, if you cleared $20,000 a month, you would barely pay your utilities.
I could not afford my house payment on my house payment's 31 grand a month.
Right.
Yeah.
Your utilities are 20.
Yeah, my utilities would
and
like
your upkeep and your landscaping, and that's
Yeah.
20,000. Right?
Yeah, between 15 and 20.
So
yeah.
baseline for you is like 50 to 75.
Just to pay my house payment
Just to-
and
ju-
yeah, and maintain it.
I mean, this is what happens as you upscale your life. As things get bigger, your bottom, your like nut gets bigger. You got to bring home at least $50,000 to $75,000 a month just to pay the bills.
Yeah, and that's an interesting conversation, because you look at Ryan Pineda and you look at Brandon Turner. We're talking about this on Ryan Pineda's podcast, and then I was on Ryan Pineda's podcast a couple of weeks later, and he's like, how much does it take for you to just flatline? I go, 100 grand a month.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, why is it so much? I go, well, I spend 30 grand a month on travel. Like, I travel $30,000 worth. You and I, right now I'm traveling a lot more than you are, but when you and I were traveling a lot, it's $25,000 to $30,000 a month.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I didn't have the same number when I first started wholesaling. When I first started wholesaling, okay, maybe a year and a half before I met you, my number was, it started at 10 grand. If I could do that thing and take home 10 grand a month, I could slow down on my construction company that was making me about 60 grand a month. Okay. So I was making really good money in my construction company. I'm like, but I'm working Saturdays and Sundays. So if I can make 10 grand a month, I could stop working Saturdays and Sundays. Do you see how small my goal was at the time? Like, all I was trying to do is make 10 grand a month. Then you hit 10 grand a month. You're like, wait, why was my goal ever 10 grand a month?
Right.
But that's the process, right? The process is you have to go through those things. Trust the process. I hate when people say trust the process, but now that I trusted the process and I've been through it, I'm like, oh my gosh, trust the process. So then I went from 10 grand to how do I do 50 grand a month? And I was able to get to a consistent $50,000 a month in my wholesale operation within 4 months, maybe 5 months of starting.
Right.
Now, when I first started, do you remember how my leads came in?
First started?
Yeah. When I was
Homevestor.
Homevestor, but what's their techniques?
It's well, they're doing direct mail,
Mhm.
they're doing billboards, they're doing TV, it's all the
Inbound.
old school inbound stuff. So I remember talking to you back then, and you would have to write $50,000 or $60,000 a month just to get the phone to ring 15 or 20 times.
Yeah, it was 20 grand a month to get 15 leads.
Right.
So my leads were really expensive, but my leads were
And
good.
and you're also the best in the country at closing those leads. And so even then your cost per contract was ridiculously high.
Yeah, it was really
even
high.
being the best. And that, like, Pace was number one in Homevestors for closing leads. They used to ask him to come and train new people, new homevestors that were getting their franchises. They'd say, Pace, come and train them. Even then, what would you say your average cost per contract was on those?
So national, let's see, 20 grand, I would get 4 contracts. So 5 grand a contract.
I mean, and you're the best, right?
Yeah.
So what would the average
10,
be?
11. Yeah. So I don't, that's not my strategy anymore, but that's how I started. Right.
Right.
So my leads were coming in inbound. And when I scaled that and I topped out and I was making $50,000, $60,000 a month and I was number one at Homevestors, I was like, wait, hold on. If I'm the number one out of 1,100 franchisees nationwide and I'm making 60 grand a month, that means I've hit the top.
Right.
I've gotten the best. How do I get out of this?
Yeah.
And I had to reinvent myself.
Mhm.
I had to go, all right, I need to figure out how to do outbound calling. And this is the process. There's a process. You don't just go, all right, I'm learning wholesaling, and then tomorrow I'm going to hit $40,000 a month, and then you chill. That is not what happens in business.
No.
My point of bringing this all up is that as you make that 10 grand, 10 grand is no longer good enough for you. Every single person I've ever met who is a driven human being, when they hit 10 grand, 10 grand is no longer enough.
Right.
Because they realize, wait, if I can make 10 grand, I could definitely make 20. So they go to 20, and then lifestyle creep happens, which I actually think is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you want lifestyle creep to happen?
No, because listen, I don't want to be living the same way that I was living. I remember making $10,000 a month. I made $10,000 a month way longer than you did, way longer than Brent did. And I remember being at that meeting where we all got together. We were sitting actually in this office.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. And I was talking to all my friends. I was running the nation's largest wholesale company, but I have a capital hoarder as a business partner. He loves to just hold money in the business account. And so we would only pay ourselves $10,000 a month. And I was doing well at $10,000 a month. I'm like, I drive a nice little Jeep Cherokee. I own a home. My wife, she has whatever she wants. I have whatever I want. You see me, I wear the same clothes all the time. So I'm like pretty simple, pretty easy. And then I'm sitting in this room talking to these guys, and like, I'm hearing from people taking home 100, 80, and then $160,000 a month. And I'm like, take home?
Yeah.
You're going to take it home $160,000 a month? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I think that's when it, like, the light bulb switched, right? It's like, even when I've said this to you before, when I was talking to Grant, he went to negative in 2008. I went to negative in 2008. My goal coming out of 2008 was to make back the 12 million I lost, right? Okay. So it's 2023 right now. I got the 12 million I lost. I hit my goal. Well, Grant's goal, same time, his goal was $1 billion. Guess what? He hit the goal.
Yeah, he's at 1.3 billion now.
If I had just had a higher if I'd had a bigger target, I'd be on that bigger target right now. So this is, what you're saying right now makes all the sense, right?
Yeah, but here's what I would say is that what accelerated, you'll see a lot of people doing wholesaling on their own, and I'll run into them. I ran into a guy in Richmond, Virginia a couple of nights ago. He's like, "Oh, I've been wholesaling for 15 years." And I'm like, "Bro, you must be crushing it. You must be crushing it." And he's like, "I do all right." I'm like, "What are you taking home?" He's like, "I'm taking about 40 grand home a month." I'm like, "All right." But for 15 years.
Yeah, you should be making it. You should be taking home way more than that.
Right. You should your cash flow alone from rentals and Airbnb should be $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a month, right?
Right.
So when I got into the conversation with him, what was his biggest problem? His biggest problem is he wasn't running with a pack of wolves. He was a guy that was a solo wolf. Mm. And what happens when you're the solo wolf is that you don't know what the other possibilities are. You don't see what other people are doing.
You're limited by your box.
You're limited by your little box. So for him, 40 grand was cool, right? And then when, and people will say like, well, why is money so important? I'm like, when we were in Montana and we raised $550,000, I'll tell you why money's important.
That was awesome.
That was sick. 550 grand in 45 minutes. That was sick. Here's why money is so important. There was a woman that came up to me and she said, I just realized why money is so important and making money is so important. I'm like, really?
Yeah. You're talking about Suzanne.
Yeah. And she said, it's because there was a voice inside of me that was like, why can't I write a check right now to help this child enslavement situation, this charity we were raising money for? Why can't I just not even worry about writing a check for $100,000?
I saw how much that weighed on her.
Right.
I was listening to her tell you about it. And it's like, she wasn't like, I wish I could have the Lamborghini. I wish I could have the mansion. I wish I could have these things. No, she literally had genuine sadness in herself, because she said, Pace, I want to be the person who writes the $10,000 check like that. I don't even have to think about it. When they say we're raising for, who's got 10,000? She says, I want to be the person who puts my hand up. When they say who's got 25,000? She said, I want to be the person who puts my hand up. Well, that's the spirit. That is the spirit that's going to get her there.
Yeah. And this is the first time I've ever raised money by being on the stage, right? I'm always, you and I have been to a lot of fundraisers where we're the ones donating money.
Correct.
Okay. Large checks, small checks, whatever. I've never been on the stage looking at the audience that you're raising the capital from. And when I was on the stage in Montana, I was looking at the people that were like, I realized money is not money. I realized money is a tool, and I've figured out how to go and obtain more of that tool as quickly and as efficiently as possible, that I feel confident in giving money up and giving it freely because I'm so confident in my ability of making more. Then you saw the people in that room that are like, oh my gosh, please don't look at me. This is really uncomfortable. And even
some of our own friends,
like
people, some of them I was kind of shocked at, like at how
couldn't even put up $1,000.
couldn't, it was like, like, yeah, and almost only doing it because they felt the pressure of everybody else having donated, right? So
it's
like,
an
interesting thing to see that it, for some people that are wealthy, they still can't open up their capacity to be able to do that, but
I think
it
also could be a relationship they have with money that's from a past life, right?
Mm.
Like money, there's a couple of things that are humongous, and this is good advice for people trying to get into this business. Couple of things. Number one, you'll never do this on your own. Okay, so the videos you're watching, the books you're reading, the seminars you're going to, they're all worthless. I'm going to tell you right now, they're all worthless. Even this podcast is worthless if you are not meeting people to be in close physical proximity of. You three dudes right here, you guys are all homies? Or is there a fourth one right here? Okay, 4 of you guys. It's way more fun when you got your friends with you, right? That's the number one secret to business right there. Okay. When I was trying to do everything on my own in my 20s, I hit a cap. When I started meeting people in this business, here's how fast it worked for me. I went from a guy making 400 grand a year in wholesale to then hanging out with people making $1 million a year in wholesale. And it took me about 6 months until I made $1 million a year in wholesale. Why? Because they're operating differently. They're more efficient. They're more tenacious. They're unapologetic about the way that they move. They ask different questions. They do different things. The conversation you're having at dinner with a guy making 200 grand a year is a different conversation you're having with a guy that makes $1 million a year. Okay. And so the second we got into these rooms, in fact, shout out to Brent. He's sick today. That's why he's not here. 5 years ago, Brent brought us all into this room, into this office before he owned it.
Yep.
He was a tenant in the building that he now owns.
Right.
Okay. That shows you Brent's growth.
Mm-hmm.
Brent says, I can't hang out with people that are not growing at least 25% every single quarter. He said, if you don't double your business every year, you're not invited to this room next year. So what he did is he says, I'm going to tell you guys how much I make a year. And now I want to hear how much everybody else in this room makes every year. If we're not openly talking about that as friends, then we can't be friends. And there was 8 of us in this room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 8 of us.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens is how many of those 8 have gone to the heights of me, you, Brent? Probably 5. Maybe less? 3? But here's what happened. Brent invited us back the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And that room got very small very quickly.
Small, very fast.
Because what happens is you take 8 people. Are all 8 people going to be able to make the trek? No. So it's your job, guys, all 4 of you guys, I hope all 4 of you guys make it. It's your job because I don't just make decisions for myself anymore. Jamil does not make decisions for himself anymore, right? You go to the Keegley office, Mahmoud, you've been there, right? Does Jamil only make decisions for himself when he wakes up in the morning? So when Jamil makes a decision to spend time with Pace, he made that decision and it will either benefit or pull away from his team at Keegley. Okay. There's a domino effect in everything he does. Every decision he makes, where he goes to lunch, who he's hanging out with, how he posts on social media, impacts everybody in his organization. Same thing with me. And this is why Jamil and I have really stuck with each other, is because we constantly push each other. My decisions are for 600 employees every day. They're not for myself. And I actually really am happy about that. I'm sure you're happy about that too.
Big time.
Because it holds you accountable.
Keeps me responsible.
Right.
Because even then, funny enough, when I said to you, I looked at Nat and I said, is it time? And she said, maybe for you, but what about the hundreds of people that depend on you? What about the thousands of people that are gaining their entire financial futures because you're showing them what to do? I don't give a shit if it's your time or not. It's not theirs.
And you didn't figure this all out just so you could have a cush life.
No.
You figured this out so you could pass it on to the next person.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so guys, that's what this is about. You're going to end up upgrading your friends throughout your life. You will outgrow friends just like you outgrow CPAs. Why? Here's another note to take. You're gonna upgrade your CPA at least 5 times over the next 20 years.
Please upgrade your CPA at least 5 times.
It's a requirement. You will outgrow your CPA. Your CPA will not be able to handle you. Actually, here's a couple of things. So the CPA that handles clients that make $500,000 a year won't take you on as a client. They won't take you on. So you have to go to the CPA that only takes on $100,000 to $200,000 a year clients and understands that type of client. Then you're going to get to a point where like, my CPA sucks, dude. I'm paying taxes. It's like,
I'm paying taxes.
It's because you have the wrong CPA. You've now outgrown him. So now you go back to that CPA at 500,000 that turned you down the first time. You go, hey, I've upgraded. I'm now worthy of your time. Well, guess what? You'll upgrade through that guy too, and upgrade through the next guy, and upgrade through the next guy. You will do the same thing with your friends, sadly. And it doesn't mean that your friends aren't amazing people. It means that you are making decisions for hundreds of people. You guys have hundreds of employees? The answer is not yet. Are there people today that are going to rely on you guys to make good decisions to bring in money into your company and to make good decisions of who you hang out with? They might not be in your purview. You can't see them yet, but I promise you the world is putting up a domino effect for them to be led into your life.
Amen.
And so the decisions you're making today are actually not for yourself. They're for future employees, future team members. Okay. The culture of Keighley is so phenomenal. And I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm going to assume it's that these people they just have an attitude of gratitude. They've been in other organizations. They now come into your organization. They realize what Josiah, Jamil, and Hunter put together for 5-7 years of a grind has created an ecosphere for them to thrive and that for them to make you got freaking Ronald and some of these guys in your organization making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month without even having to be the owner of the company.
Right.
Insane.
Which is great.
It's so good.
It is. I mean, it's like, I think if I had been in one of those situations where I was in a W-2 job that paid me 30 or 40 or 50K a month, would I have ever quit? Not likely, dude.
No.
There's no way I would have quit. I would have been like, I want this job for life.
Right.
This place is great. Can I sleep here?
You know, I was in Virginia yesterday. We did a meetup, and in the meetup, we had Munif Saza and we had Love Francis, and they bring their beautiful child.
Amazing.
Okay. This is what's so cool. You guys have the craziest power of all time. When you work really hard and you make good decisions, you impact other people, and those people make decisions based on how you impacted them. Love Francis and Munif Saza meet inside of Subto. I had taught Love Francis how to do transaction coordination, and I had taught Munif how to do creative finance and closing deals. So guess what? This was like a match made in heaven. They end up getting married. She's his full-time transaction coordinator. They end up having a baby. His mom, he brings his mom and dad to this meetup yesterday in Virginia, and he says, I want you to meet my parents. And his wife comes up to me. She says, I want you to know how much I appreciate how you've changed my son's life.
Wow.
And I'm standing there almost like I'm disconnected. He's like a ghost. I'm outside of myself.
You're dissociated.
I'm watching this happen. I'm like, is this my life right now? And then I can, in the back of my mind, I can track back 5 years ago where I made the decision to do certain things that then ultimately impacted and created a child on this earth that I did not conceive.
Right.
My vibrations helped conceive a child. That is the craziest thing.
It's beautiful.
From figuring out how to be efficient and consistent and make good decisions for other people, you will be able to create families or opportunities for people to go create families, I should say.
And imagine the mind of that kid coming from parents like Munif and Love, right?
Yeah.
Who have been, learn from you, who are learning from others within the community, and then they're installing that operating system in their baby.
Yeah.
Right? That kid is going to have so many options, so many friends. Imagine the network that child will be born into, right? Just phenomenal. And every one of you guys watching this right now have the exact same opportunity in front of you. There's near 800 people watching live right now on Wholesale Hotline. You guys are all in the chat, communicating with each other, talking to each other, squatting up, finding out who's got what, who's where, how can we work with each other. This is what we're talking about.
Right. So step number one, when people say, how do I get started? I would avoid being a lone wolf. I would make sure you are around people. Step number two, take inventory of how much money or deals those people you're hanging out with make or do. Why is that? Because you are, sadly, the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. You just are. You want to make $1 million a year, Mahmood? You got to hang out with frequently people that make $1 million a year. That's it. I'm 40. Okay. I got gray in my beard. I know one or two things more than you young whippersnappers. Okay. I'm in Brooklyn 3 nights ago. Okay. Chris Jean-Baptiste, shout out. Medium Wave Dave, shout out. We do a meetup in Brooklyn at the Jay-Z Museum. So
Awesome.
sick. And I get this guy comes to me and goes, Pace, I know you're not answering questions tonight because I tell people like, hey guys, I have an hour. There's 300 people here. I want to meet everybody. So no questions. Let's hang out. I want to shake your hand, give you a hug. Let's take a photo. This guy goes, I know you're not answering. This is always a New Jersey or New York thing. They don't care that you said no questions. They're going to ask you a question. He says, I got a question for you. I go, let me guess. You want to be more? You want to do more? You want to have more? Or some iteration of that. And he goes, yeah, I guess. I go, okay, what are you really good at? He goes, I don't know, nothing. I go, no, you're good. Everybody's good at something. What are you good at? And he goes, oh, I used to swim competitively. Amazing. Thank you so much. So did you learn all of that through a book? No. Did you learn all of that through video? A little bit. I was more inspired. Okay. Where did you learn? He goes, well, I used to take classes. I'm like, I'm going to challenge you that the people in your classes were teaching you more than the actual coach of that class ever taught you. It was the unspoken things that they were doing, the consistent actions they were doing, how they turned their hand in the water, how they did this, how they did that. You watched by being in proximity next to that person.
Exactly.
And he goes, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. And then I go to the next person and I ask them the same thing. And I go, I bet you learned more from the other people in the room than you did from the person teaching. And they go, yeah. And I go, the teacher's job is to create an ecosphere, an environment for people to learn together and collaborate and to create community. That's the teacher's job. And I go, why is it that everybody thinks that it's any different in real estate?
Right.
Why is it that you think you can learn this on your own? You can't.
Right.
You cannot learn this on your own. You need to be in physical proximity of other people.
It's the old adage, right? The how many times when you're on YouTube or you're look at one of your ads, look at the comments, and some schmuck will put in there, you can learn all this for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, man, oh man, oh man, your point of view is so limited that truly the reason why you're going to continue living in a survival mode in life is because even when you're commenting, you're stingy.
Yeah.
Even in comments, even in like what is free for you is so full of restraint,
Bro.
that you can't even say to yourself that I'm like, wait, hold on a second. You mean there might be value with other people? You mean there might be something valuable about being in a community of people where I can connect and learn with them?
Or how about
oh my God.
crowdsource experience? Think about this. We've all lived we've had a lot of problems. Mahmood, you've had problems in your business I've never had before, and vice versa. So what's cool is that you've gone out into your own vein of the world and you've experienced these things on my behalf because you're willing to bring them to me and cut my learning curve from 2 years down to 2 weeks, right? So the more friends you have, the more you can crowdsource all these experiences, resources, and skills, which is amazing. Okay, now, next thing I want you to write down. This is very important. Your income, as we talked about in step 1, right? Get a pack of wolves around you. Your income will never go past how much your friends are making. It will never go past, okay? Temporarily, it might go past, and then your friends need to catch up or vice versa. But there's a overall vibration that what happens is you start making more money, you're attracted to hanging out with other people who are making more money. Why? Okay, because this is the next thing you got to write down. Your personal income, okay, will be limited by your personal development.
100%.
Your money, your personal income will never go higher or faster than your personal development. Okay. Now, when we talk about personal development, what are we talking about? merit badges. I think about merit badges. I'm a Boy Scout. Okay. So I remember getting all the merit badges like canoeing, archery, all these little skills, these micro skills, right? When you're wholesaling, Jamil, what are a couple of little micro skills you have to learn? Like how to talk to an agent.
Interpersonal skills, right? You have to be able to not rub people the wrong way. You have to understand how to extract from somebody the truth of what they're trying to actually, you got to extract meaning without saying too much. You need to be able to read between the lines. You've got to understand how to negotiate.
How to ask good questions.
You got to know how to ask good questions. You have to know how to listen.
So think about this. Every one of those things he just said is a merit badge that is an individual skill that you have to obtain. So when you see other people dominating, it's because they have hundreds of micro skills that you look at and you go, oh, they must be really good at cold calling. No, there are hundreds of micro skills that they have obtained. And so when you talk about personal development, I'm always looking at what's my next merit badge I have to obtain. Now, at my phase, I can tell you my current merit badge I'm trying to obtain is better storytelling, right? Because we're all barbaric. You guys would rather learn through a story than a list of things. You want to hear a story. How does that actually apply to me? So storytelling is really important to me. Another thing that I have to learn is I learned the merit badge. I obtained the merit badge of raising $100,000 for my first project like 5 years ago. Okay. Well, once you get past that merit badge, now I can go to $500,000 merit badge and go, okay, this is another thing. Then you go to $1 million. Now I'm currently at $25 million merit badge that if you came back to me and go, hey, can you raise 100 grand for me? I'm like, that's more of a bother than it is a challenge.
Right.
But when I was on that merit badge, that was a freaking challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to obtain these merit badges. That is called personal development. So think about this. Write this down. Take inventory of what are the things I'm actually good at. Some of them have conveyed from your previous job, right? Like when you first started out, you were selling websites back in 2001, right?
Correct. Yep.
Were there micro skills or merit badges that you have obtained that conveyed over how to talk to people,
100%.
how to stay consistent?
Consistency was the number one thing, right? And also, solving the problem myself. One of the things that I think is one of the most crucial predictors of a person's success is if they come across a situation or an obstacle, that they go about finding the solution to that situation, to that obstacle, without having to go, hold on a second, I'm going to stop. I'm going to now put the buck in somebody. I'm going to put the ball in somebody else's court, and I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to wait. And then when I don't get the answer that I want and the timing that I want, now it's no longer my fault. It's their fault because they didn't respond to me the moment that I had the question. Right. So now I have a reason that I get to just sit back and be like, oh, I'm the victim. I just get to sit here. Nobody wants to help me. I'm all by myself. Just the way that I always said I was, just alone in this world.
I knew I was right. I knew nobody wanted to help me.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
When the fact is that, look, at the end of the day, nobody's going to take responsibility for your life except for you. Right. People might be able to help you. People might hold your hand. People might be on the same journey and on the same path. And in times, you guys might be able to collaborate and help one another. But at the end of the day, you've got to take responsibility for the situation that you're living in right now. And that means when you have a problem or an obstacle that you need to solve or overcome, figure it out. Figure it out. There's people, there's internet, there's books, there's podcasts, there's YouTube. Man, oh man, dude. You can, just like that, whoever it was that's in my comments right now says, you can learn all this for free on YouTube. Yeah, you can also learn plumbing. You can also learn how to install a roof on YouTube. Doesn't mean you should, but hey, if you're in a situation and you got a problem right now and my plumbing is broken and I got to go to YouTube to find the answer just to fix it for the moment, you can do that. But instead, I'll be like, you know what? I got to fix this plumbing leak right now. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send Pace a text message. And I'm going to say, hey, Pace, what do you know about plumbing? I did my job. I did all that I could. Now I got to wait for Pace to respond to me. And if Pace doesn't respond to me right now and my house floods, it's Pace's fault.
Right. So think about this, right? So you've got step number one in starting anything is always get a pack of people around you. This is why we do live shows instead of pre-recorded shows. We have 800 people in the comments. A lot of people have done a lot of deals together. Okay. So live shows are way more important for us to watch you guys squat up with each other. That is the whole common thread of the show, is because you'll never do anything on your own.
Yes, sir.
Has anybody figured out a strategy of how to make $1 without another human being involved?
It's not possible.
Okay, interesting. So what you're telling me is that it's physically impossible for me to make $1 without another human being involved.
Everything is a value exchange.
Okay, so if I go back to step number 1, which is get around quality human beings, then me plus other human beings equals more money.
Correct.
Me plus quality human beings equals even more money.
Right.
Okay, so that's step number 1. Make sure you have a pack of wolves. Step number 2, take inventory of those people every single year. Okay. Now, number 3 is obtain personal development. And I hate the ambiguity of personal development. It's like, no, think about the micro skills, talking to an agent, being consistent. I would say some of the most important skills that you could obtain are how to lead other people, how to overcome your fear of hiring people. That's going to be your guys' next. Some of you guys right here are deathly afraid of hiring somebody. Deathly afraid of hiring somebody. Anybody in here? Raise your hand if you are. I was that guy. Okay. And I'm not talking about virtual assistants, bro. That's like you can click 3 buttons and hire somebody. Another human being that's like in your office. Okay. Are you guys already overcome that one? You have. Okay. So you just chose not to raise your hand. Okay, cool. Oh, what's that? I'm not scared. You're not there yet. Okay. Love that. Okay. I love that. Mahmoud, when you started hiring people and getting teams and stuff like that, was that not a big fear? In the beginning, right? So you had to overcome that that fear. The next thing is this is a scary thing. Your current personal development will attract the quality of team members that you have on your team. So when you start saying stuff like, my team sucks, I can't find good people, it is 100% a reflection on you. That's something I learned 6 months ago. Because I would complain about, we'll put a job out. Okay. We put jobs out on the internet and we're just getting low quality applications. And then somebody came along and it was actually an applicant that tried to apply for one of our jobs. And they were so kind to give us some feedback. And the feedback was, hey, your website is lackluster and non-motivating. That's the reason why I'm going to end up just canceling the interview, is because I'm not inspired to work for you.
Wow. That's feedback, bro.
Yeah. Now check, Matt, if you could pull up manifestu.com. U is in just the letter U, manifestu.com. Okay. We immediately, when we find this out, we go, oh crap. This is like, we're throwing out bait into a river to attract a fish. And the quality of my bait is what's going to bring the quality of the fish, right? So if you go to manifestu.com on your phones, look it up and tell me that's not an inspiring website. We put that up in 3 days. Guess what? We found the best quality human beings we've ever found in like a week once that website was put up. Now, instead of them saying, hey, we're hiring an HR director, or we're hiring a this, or we're hiring a that, we're saying, this is the name of the company. These are the people leading it. Here's a visual blah, blah, blah of our company. Are you guys on that webpage? Is it pretty sick? In 2 seconds, you're like, I would work for these people. Interesting, isn't it? But beforehand, no joke, I'm 40 years old, bro. And every time I put an application, we put job descriptions out on the internet, we are like, the job title and how much we pay is what's going to attract the people to come work for us. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm in the process of hiring somebody, a personal assistant, to just help out with stuff around the house. And I'm talking about 15 people. And what am I doing every time I talk to somebody? I send them a link to my Instagram or my YouTube and I go, this is who I am. This is who my wife is. Immediately, all 15 of them are like, I want to work for you. Okay. But before I send them the link, they're like, well, tell me a little bit about the job.
How far do I have to drive? Can I leave early on Tuesdays? Cause I like to play with my friends.
Yeah. They're basically saying, sell me
on working for you.
Sell me on taking my life and dedicating it to your company. That's what they're saying. And dude, I'm telling you, I did not realize this until 6 months ago. I just was like, well, you're lucky. I'm giving you a job. Some low level mindset, right?
It is though. Because you're not lucky to give them a job. In fact, when you have quality people, you're as an employer, you're lucky to have them.
That is very, very, very true.
Right? I mean, look for instance, Emily, right?
Oh my, she's amazing.
I love Emily. She did a great job working on my team for so long. Right now, she's in the last week of her situation with me. Yeah, her and her husband are going full-time wholesale. She's like, it's not my fault. You're such a great teacher. You taught my husband how to wholesale. He's making so much money now. I don't really need your job anymore.
Wow.
And I think to myself, for a moment it stung, right? I was like, crap, what am I going to do without Emily? And then I thought, oh my goodness, this is so good. Like I was able to be a part of their story so that they can go off and do incredible things, right? But even on the last days, even in her last days, she's showing up. She's putting 110% out there. She's doing everything she can possibly do to be a team player. And she even said, guys, just so you know, even after I leave, please reach out, call me. I will always be available. I'm always going to be a part of this team, and I'm always going to be helpful. That's a quality human being.
Very much.
Right? Normally, when people are like, hey, I'm about to leave my job, my husband makes so much money doing something else. They're like, later, bitches. And they leave.
Well, most people just go, oh, you're quitting? You're putting in your 2 weeks? You can just leave.
Right.
But Emily, you're like, please stick around all the way because she's amazing.
She's my little sister, like she grew up, and it in the beginning, it was just Emily and I, right? Like you remember, she was my videographer. She was my social media manager. She was my content creator. She was my YouTube channel manager. She did it all. My personal assistant. She used to come to set and film little reels while you and I were on break. And then
at 110 degrees.
And 110 degrees, and then go and like edit them and then chop them up and then write a caption and put it on my, like, dude, and now I have, this huge team around me, and it's like, oh, this all started on Emily's shoulders. So I have nothing but love for her, but she's grown so much, right? She did so much. She's a quality human being. And it's that I'm lucky that I had her for as long as I had her, and I was able to grow with her, and she was able to grow with me, and now she's off to do her own things. You guys should always be looking at the people who work with you in the same lens.
Right.
If you look at any of your staff right now and you're like, man, I don't like this person, or this person rubs me the wrong way, or I wish this person would work harder, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Here's a couple more things. Okay. A couple more things I've learned in the last couple of years. Couple more things. Ice Cube said something really interesting on an Instagram reel. I didn't see the whole podcast, but he says, if you don't plan on not making it for 5 years without making 50 cents, then don't even start.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's actually in a lot of ways very true. Now in wholesale, it's not like that. It's like, if you actually give it your all, okay, you give it your all in 30 days, you're making 10 grand. 20,
you could, yeah. Right. And on average, it takes people, 90 days.
Right.
If they're,
But to get to a point where you can take a 5-week sabbatical, what I'm talking about is all these micro skills. You don't just go, all right, I'm going to learn how to do deals and I'm done learning all these things. That's where the real learning starts. Leadership, balancing money. Oh my gosh, you know how many times people ask the question? You've heard this 1,000 times. When you get your first wholesale check of $30,000, what do you do with the money? And I'm like, what does it matter? And then when you actually make that money, you're like, oh, what do I do with this 30 grand?
Right.
How much goes to taxes? How much goes to leadership? How much goes to maybe getting an office building? When am I ready for an office building?
Right.
Should I get an assistant? Am I ready for an assistant? That is where the real learning starts, how to be an actual business owner.
Yep.
Versus running a wholesale operation like a hobby. Okay. And now you can scale, and now you get a steady paycheck. Now at one point you can go into the office. This is guys, I'm not lying to you. This happens all the time. I go into Jamil's office with him. Okay. We do share an office, and I go in there with you, and somebody came up to me and Jamil the other day. We knocked on the glass door because neither one of us have a key
to get in.
I mean, guys, there's 200 employees. This is a big operation. We walk in, and the guy that opens the door, he says, do you work here? I was like, that's a good one. And I was like, oh, he's serious.
He's serious, yeah.
He has no idea who Jamil and Pace are. That was one of the greatest moments of my life.
Right. Right. It's great.
Why? Is because there's a machine running that is feeding families paychecks every 2 weeks. And the person who grinded out for 5 years, nobody knows anymore. Not nobody, but
Yeah.
a good
But
40% of the employees don't know.
I walk up and down the halls of that office, and I'm like, I don't know anybody's name.
Right.
You know, a few people that have been there a minute, but it's still what it is. Dude, it's too big. It's too much going on.
So final thing I'll say, we'll do a little bit of Q&A today. The final thing I'll say, I saw this thing. Jamil talks about vibrations all the time. I reposted on my Instagram story, and it was talking. Did you see this? The thing I posted on my Instagram story talking about the vibrations of the universe, like energy. You talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
Energy is neither created
or destroyed.
Or
just
destroyed.
transferred from one form to another.
Right. So
Second law of thermodynamics.
You have the ability to literally manifest anything you want.
Yes, sir.
And so what I start thinking about, I wish somebody told me to think about an office environment to that detail so that I could manifest it. Most people are manifesting, how do I make 20 grand a month? But nobody tells you, hey, the thing you should be manifesting is creating a machine that when you walk into it, people are like, who are you?
You know, it's really interesting you say that, because there were moments I remember when I would do my visualizations, because I do them daily. And one of my visualizations was being in an A-class office space with people buzzing around like bees, and me having like being a part of it, but not really a part of it. But I would visualize that. I would see it. I would be like, how many people are there? What type of furniture do we have? How many fridges do we have? Right. And then funny enough, there was a moment where I was like, we have 3 fridges. We have 5.
Yeah, you have 5.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, even to the fact of knowing that you have multiple fridges, because that's how big you want the office to be, that one fridge isn't going to be enough to fit all the people's food. You're going to need more than one. You're going to need 3. And then the reality, what the universe and what God actually gives you isn't 3, it's 5.
Yes.
Because you live in an abundant world, not in one where your little mind can think of what your gifts or what your rewards in life will be.
And this is why going in, doing an office tour of somebody's office is so important, is because it shows you the things that you should be manifesting.
Amen.
Right? Like Ken McElroy, who we had on as a guest a couple months ago.
Yes.
I go into his office and he's showing me this person's job, this person's job, this person's job. And he shows me a position in his company that is the director of philanthropy.
And when you told me that, dude, I was like,
her full-time job, he pays her like 300 grand a year to do this, is to give away $1 million a month. That's her full-time job, director of philanthropy. Think about manifesting something that big and that specific. I got 5 fridges because there's so many people that have lunch. People have to write their names on lunch bags at my office. This is what Jamil's telling himself. I want a director of philanthropy that we're making so much money that now the purpose that we built this company can actually be
to give money away,
giving away $1 million a month away.
Yeah.
He actually recruited the head of philanthropy from Arizona State University. He went down there and was like, I want to hire you. How much are they paying you? Great, I'll pay you double. Come work for me full time. That's all her entire job. On her office door, it says Director of Philanthropy. Now you're talking and thinking big enough. So you have to reverse engineer. This is the last thing I'll say to you. You have to reverse engineer. So think about this. Is being a billionaire the goal, or is being worthy of having $1 billion the goal? I don't care about the money. I care about the fact that I've provided so much value and I've led people and I've done things and I've hung out with the right people that $1 billion found its way through vibrations into my bank account.
Yes.
So, Paige, you want to be a billionaire? No, I want to be somebody worthy of $1 billion. And so you have to reverse engineer. Who are they hanging out with? What are they doing? How many fridges do they have in their office? Right?
Legit. Yeah.
You have to reverse engineer. And that is what you've done such a good job of when you're visualizing and talking about these things. You're like, oh, I want 3 fridges.
Remember when we went to 10X, you and I,
oh my gosh.
you think about this, right? I don't know how many years ago it was, but Pace and I had a goal to talk on the 10X stage. So what do you think we did? We bought a ticket to 10X. We flew there. We sat in the audience and we said, what does this room feel like? What does this room vibrate like? What are the people like on the stage? What is it? What is this whole thing? What is the energy of this room? Because we can't walk through a door we've never felt before. We've never seen before.
Correct.
And there we go. You know, it wasn't very long before we were walking through that door, and not only through that door, but past it.
Now, this goes back into number one. All of this is going to take longer than you think it's going to take.
It will.
And it's either going to be a horrible drain on you, or it's going to be so exhilarating and so fun. And going back to number one, the only difference between it being exhilarating and fun and laborious and making you want to quit is the people you're hanging out with. And I tell this story all the time. 6th grade, hanging out every Friday. Okay. My buddies and I, school lunch was $1.50 back then. Okay. This is back when your parents would give you cash for school lunch, right? So my parents would give me $1.50 every single day for school lunch. And I figured out how to eat my lunch for $1 a day, and so did 4 of my other buddies. So by the end of the week, we all had $2.50 left over that we could go and walk down from North Ogden Elementary. You can look this up on Google Maps, down to 7-Eleven. It's about a quarter mile walk, or about a half a mile walk for 6th graders. And we would talk about movies. We talk about, for this one, the movie Friday came out. Oh my gosh, bro. As a 6th grader, I had that movie memorized.
So good.
So good. And all my friends would play the parts. We would be like, oh, you're Debo. I'll be you're the dad. You're the this. And we would play all the parts and we would make fun of each other. That's not what he says. And you're walking all the way down from the elementary down to 7-Eleven. And what did we always get? We always got a ruby red squirt, which frequently they're running out of. Like sometimes one of our buddies didn't get a ruby red squirt because there's like 5 of us buying them all at the same time. And they were out. It was like right when ruby red squirt became the new thing. Mm-hmm. And then we would get penny candies like lemon heads and other things. Man, I sound old as shit.
Even the fact that you said penny candies.
I know.
They became a nickel, you know that.
Yeah,
right?
I know. So, man, that was like the payoff. The payoff was the ruby red squirt and the lemon heads. And then, you know, we would end the day by walking each other home. And, you know, people would kind of fall off because it'd be like, okay, Tyler lived the closest.
Right.
And then Pace was 3rd. So I'd peel off and then the other 2 friends would go off. Right. And it would just kind of walk each other home every single Friday. This wasn't every day. This was only Friday. It was like a treat. Man, I look forward to that ruby red squirt every single Friday. And one Friday, Tyler, Anthony, my other buddies, they had a soccer tournament. I wasn't a soccer guy. So guess what? Their parents took them out of school. They had a 3-day weekend. They went down to Las Vegas to play in a club soccer thing, right? I was like, hell yeah. I'm guaranteed to get a ruby red squirt. One of these idiots is not going to steal my ruby red squirt. So I rush down to 7-Eleven. I get down there. I get my lemon heads. I check out. I get my ruby red squirt. I walk outside. I open it up and I drink this ruby red squirt. And it just didn't taste the same.
Because your homies weren't there.
My homies weren't there.
Yeah.
And so many people think that the destination is the goal. The entire time, and I'm glad I learned this in 6th grade, it was always the journey. It was the things, it's the places you and I have had chicken wings in Milwaukee, not the $100,000 we made that week. Right. It was the 3 people that came up to us and said, I quit my job this week. And you and I were both there to hear it. It was the funny things that happened around and all the fun memories that we've had, not the money we made.
Right.
The money we made was actually
a byproduct.
It was a byproduct of how much fun we were having.
Right.
And so when people come up to me and they go, man, I just, I'm having a really hard time. I go, my question, what do you think my question is?
Who are your homies?
Who's your best friend? And they stutter, they pause. And I'm thinking, you thought this whole thing was about ruby red squirt? No, it was about laughing and joking around with your friends and throwing out movie quotes and having a good time and keeping each other accountable to staying in the business. And those are some of the valuable lessons I've learned through this, journey. And Brent Daniels has been so impactful for a lot of us. He was the guy that would hold us accountable to these things, and would call people out on their bullcrap.
Yep.
Very strongly, and super proud to be his friend and grateful that he called us the board of advisors. Okay. He would put the people in his circle. It says you can only handle 5 board of advisors in your life. Who are they? Mahmoud, who's your 5 boards of advisors? These are people you have to be hanging out with at least 10 hours a month. Who is on your board of advisors? Some of you guys go, I don't have them. Some of you guys go, I do have them. I'm not really hanging out with them. Okay, well then we're human beings that learn through proximity. That means you need to figure out how to learn more through proximity. A lot of people in the subto community, you know what they do on Saturdays is they do power hour. They just get together all over the country. They make calls together. And so now everybody's learning through proximity. That is the way you got to get things done. Now, that's funny. Somebody says, the art of storytelling, this is the first time you told this story. The art of storytelling, this first time you told this story, I don't know. The story is called Ruby Red Square Yes. So there you go. Anything you want to add to any of that?
I'm 100% in agreement with you. And real quick, I was telling the community I was talking to on Sunday about this, but I have this friend, right? I have this friend group from growing up, and this is back in the day when I was around the thugs and the Wildcats, right? And many of them did some time, right? They got into trouble and they had their worlds kind of turned upside down. And a few of them have reached out after we've all become grown-ups and had things gone. And they've been like, hey, Jamil, we've seen you on television, da-da-da. Can you help us? Can you show us a thing or two on how we can improve our lives? And some of them have asked that question. Can you show us something on how we can improve our lives? And I did, right? I taught them about wholesale. I taught them what they needed to do. And now both of them are gone on to create businesses where they're making a couple $100,000, $100,000 here, 25 grand here, 50 grand over here. And they're like, dude, this is life-changing for us. Thank you so much. I have another friend from the same crew who reaches out. And when I say, hey, I'm happy to teach you something, no, I don't want you to show me nothing. Just give me money. I just need some money. Just send me some money. Hey, man, send me some money. And it's like every freaking time this guy sends me a message, it's like, hey, bro, what's going on? Send me some money. Hey, dude, what's going on? Hey, man, nice. Hey, how you doing? You look great on IG today. Send me some money. Hey, can you send me some money? Send me some money. I'm like, dude, I don't even like hearing from this dude. Now, when can I send him money? Of course I can. But first and foremost, it's like this guy pops up when I'm on holiday, when I'm taking a shit, whatever. It's like the most inopportune time. This guy's like, hi, send me some money. And it's like, you're that person that I don't want to hear from anymore because I already know what you want. And it's all about you. You don't care to help yourself. You just want something from me. And then I was saying, it's interesting because, I was meditating the other day and I'm in this state and all of a sudden I start to feel like something's about to happen, right?
No.
Something's about to happen. And like, I sense it. I feel it. I get this like bright lights are going and I'm like, oh my goodness, wow, it's going to happen. And then right then in my head, I'm like, think of all the knowledge I'm going to get, all the people I'm going to be, all the money I'm going to make. Oh my God, this is so whap. I get sucked right back into my body. And I'm like, well, that sucked. What happened? What did I do? Like, oh, I get it. Just like that guy is to me, like just pops up when he needs something. I'm doing the same thing to God in my own prayers because I'm just popping up when I need something. Hey, I'm here. Could give me something. Where's my reward? Where's my tokens? Where's my winnings? Where's my treasure? It's the same thing that this guy's doing to me. I'm doing about my own life, right? So it's that step back. It's like, no, this isn't about the treasure. This isn't about the enlightenment. This isn't about me sending you the money. This is about what the frick are you doing for the sake of doing it? And it's just like that in our business. If you're spending time making the calls because you enjoy helping people, talking to people, solving problems, being a part of their situation, then that is the reward. You might get a check as a byproduct of it, but do it for the sake of doing it, not because you're going to get the check.
Again, it's about the journey. Are you finding the things that give you joy? It's one of the reasons why your business model and my business model are so dramatically different, because something gives you different levels of joy than gives me. I love talking to sellers directly. I love talking to people who are in foreclosure. I love having to overturn every single rock to find their problem. Whereas when you're talking to an agent, which is Jamil's main business model, or you and I are probably flip-flop. I'm probably 80% direct to seller, 20%.
Yeah, and I've brought in direct seller into my world, but I'm 80% agent, 20% direct seller.
Right, and it all works.
Yes, sir.
And this is why you and I are such a good yin and yang, is because we bring
and we
polar
do
opposite.
different things, right?
But it gives me joy and it gives you joy, right?
Correct.
So I show up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so addicted to just talking to these people all day long. I love it. You can't get me off the phone, right? And so I would give people some advice. People are having a hard time getting on the phones. Number one, step one, go back to step one. Hang out with people in close proximity that are doing things bigger than you. Sit next to them while they're making the calls. I had Marlon Johnson. Ironically, I saw him in the airport this morning. He's one of my first students 3.5 years ago. He joins, lives in Brooklyn at the time. What's so cool about a good mentorship, by the way, Mahmoud, you didn't just learn wholesale from Jamil. You learned mindset. You learned how to be a better friend. You learned leadership. You were given permission to be full Mahmoud, which you're still working on. I'm still working on being full pace, full Jamil, right? Marlon was dating the wrong girl when he joined my mentorship. And very quickly he realized, oh my gosh, my mindset's screwed up. I'm not dating this. I need to get out of this relationship. He moves to Arizona to be close, because I talk about proximity all the time. He moves to Arizona to be close to the source, right, at the time. And he goes, can you mind if I stop by your office? And I go, yeah, come on by. What do you want to do? And he goes, I just want to watch your guys work. Okay, no problem. Come on by. Well, he watches. He's there for 9 hours, watching my acquisition guys work all day long. What do you think was the number one thing that he took away after 9 hours of watching my guys be on the phone all day long? What was the number one thing you would say? Just first thing comes to your mind. Oh, that's good. They enjoy it. That wasn't it, but that's part of it. Any thought? I'll cut to the chase because we have a short amount of time. He says, I was blown away by how many times your guys heard the word no. I've been told that you're going to hear no a lot in this business. But as I watched your guys make the calls all day long, I then counted up all the no's they got. Okay, 72 no's. It was 72 no's in one day, and we got one contract that day. Okay, one contract. He says, here's what I took away. Everybody was having so much fun because it was 3 acquisition guys making fun of each other, saying, oh my gosh, you sounded like an idiot on that call. Oh my gosh. They're calling each other names. They're having a good time. They figured out how to find joy amidst something that requires a little bit of monotony and consistency.
Yes.
And at the end of the day,
They gamified it
with each other. Pack of wolves, right? Step one. So if you find yourself being one of these people that are lacking consistency, get around other human beings, get around the vibration. It's one of the reasons why I enjoy live Zooms rather than pre-recorded content, because you get that vibration of other human beings in the Zoom chat and all that kind of stuff, right? So he said, it was just so interesting. He says, thank you for this. Thank you. I was blown away. I was like, this is my question. I was like, did you learn anything today? He's like, so much. But it came down to one thing. I was like, what? And he goes, they love to hear the word no. I was like, I don't know. They love it. He goes, no. They love making fun of each other. They love, critiquing each other, giving each other pieces, anecdotal information about, oh, last time I had a lady say no to me about that, I said this in rebuttal. And the guy was, oh, that was really good. That was really good. That was really good. Sped up all the learning. And then at the end of the day, you get one contract. That was the only thing they could talk about. And they wrote the number $40,000 on the board because our dispo manager said, we can make 40 grand on that. That's all they ended up talking about at the end of the day. It was like, look what we did today.
Right.
And we had a fun time through the process. So think about that for the people that are having a hard time making the calls. Is there a business you ever run into that doesn't require people talking to other people?
No, there's no business that doesn't require you to interact in some level with others, whether it be, even if you have a digital product that you sell that you don't actually have to sell, they just click on it and they buy it. At some point there was a conversation that needed to be had where you set that up. anything that you do is going to require your collaboration with other people. It's just the way human society works. We are a social animal. That means that we don't survive alone. We can't survive alone. We need one another in order to be the best versions of ourselves. We're not the best version of ourselves by ourselves. We're the best versions of ourselves in relation to other people.
Yeah.
What makes me better? How I respond or how I react to a situation next time. But something has to happen in order for me to grow.
Right.
I can't just be here and be like, hey, guess what, guys? I'm zen as fuck.
That's
How do we know that?
That's a t-shirt.
Right?
Yeah.
You gotta make me mad to see how I'm gonna be. Did I grow or did I not? Everything that you label is in relation to something else.
Check this out. So Eduardo Lopez says, where is the best place to learn wholesale? Now, it's interesting. I wish I could bring Eduardo up here and chat with him, but that tells you a lot.
He don't know who the hell I am.
Okay. He's new. He's brand new, right? He's brand new. He's coming in. Where do I learn wholesale? He's on Wholesale Hotline. People don't like going back and watching pre-recorded podcasts.
Right.
They don't like going back and going, okay, this is my learning moment. I got to take the notes. I got to apply it in an isolated chamber by myself. Again, Eduardo, the best place to learn anything is in near or close proximity of another human being. That's it. So you learn the words, you learn the terminology, you learn these things. Listen to 15 episodes of Wholesale Hotline, and then what you should be doing is networking with Subto students, networking with Astro students, networking with the TTP Rhinos because they're super horny. No, I mean the shirts have horns on them.
Oh, they sure do.
You guys are horny for deals. I love it. So you got to network with the people that are doing the business. Okay. So Josh Keating says, welcome, Eduardo. Take the podcast, take the YouTube, take the books, take the seminars as inspiration and terminology that you need to know, but immediately go and apply it next to another human being. That's it.
What's funny, Eduardo says, can you put Eduardo's comment, his next comment up?
He said he's new. I
no,
think.
And then after that, there's one more. He says, I think he says I'm antisocial. I just want to hit that because, you know, there's a lot of people here that call themselves something. I'm an introvert. I'm antisocial. I'm this. I'm that. I want to read it so that we can kind of address it.
All right, let me pull it up. I think it's right up here.
Okay. But I'm antisocial. I'm very bad with socializing. Okay, Eduardo, I agree that this is the label you've given yourself is you are antisocial. You're bad at socializing. That's your label. And guess what? You will be that as long as you continue labeling yourself that. If you continue calling yourself antisocial, you're going to be antisocial. If you keep labeling yourself an introvert, you're going to be an introvert. If you keep labeling yourself bad at something, you will never be good at that thing. But I'll tell you this, Eduardo, if you change just the label, just the way you thought of yourself and say, you know what? I am a human being, so I'm social. That is, you cannot get around that. I'm a human being, so I am social. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy making connections. You will start to enjoy talking to people, making connections, and being social with people. It's the label right now that you're creating. It's this invisible structure that you're not going to be able to get out. You're literally a mime in a glass box. But you could get out of that if you just said to yourself, hey, I'm not this label. I'm something else. I'm something different. I can create a new label for myself, and I can be a different version tomorrow if I so choose. But Eduardo, you will continue to be the thing that you call yourself. That's just the way that life works, bro. Sorry to say it, but that's what it is.
That is very true. I also write something down frequently. I'll write it down on a piece of paper. I want you guys to write this down. It's an interesting thing. Think about this frequently. Every 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Think about this. I had it as my number one quote. My number one quote now in my notes. Okay, I'll get to the thing I want you to write down. You guys all have your pens in hand right now. I'm sorry. My number one quote right now, and it has been my number one quote for 2 years, was actually a quote from Elon Musk's ex-wife. She had a whole article talking about how this guy was just a machine and how amazing he was. And she was just so complimentary to him. But she said to him, or she said in this thing, she says, it's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. It's not who you are. It's not who you actually are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. So when you say, I'm not social, I'm antisocial, it's who you think you're not. I'm not a social human being. That's the thing that's actually holding you back. I have not changed that quote from in my notes app in my iPhone. For some of you guys that have Androids and still have to like crank your phone to get the battery to start, you guys don't have that in your phone, I don't think. Maybe you guys have a notes app. I don't know. Mahmoud, you're an Androider?
Damn, look at Tanisha Epps, bro. She's hot. Did she say she got married yesterday?
Yeah, she looks so good, dude.
Congratulations, Tanisha.
My wife was just like, I've never seen a more beautiful woman. She looks so phenomenal.
We love you.
We love her so much. And I want to get to that. So here's the thing I think about frequently. Okay. Write this down. Don't be this person. You will default into, as a human being, you will default into comfort. Okay. As a human being, you will default into comfort all the time. So write this down. This is the thing to write down. Why do people not solve their problems? Why do people not solve their problems? That's a question you got to ask yourself. So you'll run into people. They're the same person 6 months ago that they are today, 6 years ago that they are today. Why do they not solve their problems? The answer is very clear. If they solved their problem, then they would no longer have anything to complain about.
Their identity would be gone.
Don't act like we haven't all been in that exact situation. Okay, so you got to stop and think and ask yourself that every 6 months, 9 months. What are the things you are not fixing in your life? Is it your health? Is it working out? Is it your food? Is it the way you treat your wife? Is it, for some of the men that are married in here, I'm a victim of this as well. I would make, here's some transparency. I would make a justification for not taking my wife on a weekly date because I'd say, well, I'm going to make more money on Friday than, blah, 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 blah. I can go on a date in 2 or 3 weeks. And then my wife, we would have what my wife calls inventory. We go on a date 3 or 4 weeks later, and I'd say, anything I can do better? She asked the same question, anything I can do better? And my wife's answer is always, I want to go on more dates. Okay. And I wouldn't fix that. And then it dawned on me, I'm like, I need something to hold me accountable. I need to hire a full-time person, not a full-time person, but probably 4 hours a day to just buy myself some time that I can make sure that the things that I'm stressed out about are being handled so that 3-4 hours a day, I'm with my kids, I'm with my wife, and business is being solved.
Right.
But what I would do is I would complain. And I would complain about the imbalance of life. Oh, woe is me, the imbalance. It's so hard to be a father and a this and a that and a blah. Do you know how much a full-time person costs to do all the laundry, all the cleaning, et cetera in your house?
Yes, because I have a house manager.
Okay.
I know exactly how much she costs.
Yours might be more than mine because mine only comes once a week.
Mine comes 3 times a week.
Okay, yours is more than mine. What do you think it would cost? Yeah. No. 1 day a week. They're doing all your laundry, putting things away.
$300 a day, bro. $300 a day.
Okay, my girl is $1,800 a month. Do you know how much time she saves me and my wife on a weekly basis? Like, I would say she saves us 15 hours a week. Think about that. Okay, here's the problem. Here's another problem. Why are you not delegating? Ask yourself this question. Why are you not delegating? This was one of the biggest smacks right into my freaking dome I've ever had in my life when I figured this out. This was like, I asked myself this question, right? And I'm going to give you the answer. And the answer is so simple, but I'm going to tell you why you're not delegating and why you're not scaling. Okay. Go back to the same question. The question is, why do people not solve their problems? Well, because if they solve their problems, they wouldn't have anything to complain about. So, okay, that's a problem. So I ask myself this question. I go, what are some things I need to work on? What are some things I need to work on? Delegation. Why am I not delegating? If I had an extra 4 hours a day in my life right now, The reason why people don't delegate that 4 hours is because they can't figure out what to do with the new 4 hours they just delegated. Which goes back to number one. If you are hanging out with a pack of wolves doing higher level shit, sorry for people that are sensitive to the shit word, you will operate and find out how to figure out, man, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm watching so-and-so do this. I'm watching how they live their life. Okay. I'll give you another transparent thing. Are you guys learning anything tonight? Yeah. Some of you guys, we got young guys in the audience, so I'm talking to a younger version of myself. I told my wife this thing for like 4 years. We need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this. What the thing is really not important. It's a family thing. How to plan. It's whatever. It's not that important. We should do this. 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 4 years. One night, we go to dinner with Anne Marie and Jerry Norton. And my wife comes home after that dinner. She goes, we should do this thing. I'm like, I've been saying that for 4 years. Okay. One of the biggest things I learned in my life is that your significant other needs to also hang out with high-level significant others. And so what you guys will run into is you'll go, how do I get my significant other to get on the same vision plane as me? Have them hang out with some of the same friends. Go on double dates. Okay. The people you're collaborating with, like Laura would hang out with Jamil's wife. Okay. Natalie. Laura would hang out with Anne Marie, Jerry's wife. And my wife would come up home with new ideas, new perceptions, new viewpoints that she didn't have before. And all of a sudden, my wife is now pushing me. It's a hack of life. So when people come to me and go, how do I get my wife in line with me? I go, tell her to come to a meetup and meet some of the other women. Have her hang out. The women will love on her. And all of a sudden, your wife is going to be more driven than you are. I wish I learned that fact of like, I will only be able to get my wife to do and see so much. She needs to see from her peers. I'm not my wife's peer. I'm a male. I'm not my wife's peer. Okay. That was a hack for me. You guys are all handsome dudes. You guys got girls? Not yet. You want me to give you one of the greatest hacks of all time too? You guys are in a generation, or you got a girl? No girl? Okay. You guys are in a generation right now. It's very interesting. Mahmoud, you got a girl?
Bro, it's 2023. You guys got boys?
You got some dudes?
You got some dudes?
Okay.
Just checking.
I'm going to give you a hack right now. Greatest hack I learned is get a significant other that holds you accountable. You will make money way faster, way more efficiently. I see so many men nowadays saying stuff like, I'm going to become financially independent and then I will find a woman. That is not how it works.
Yep.
You find the right woman and she helps you become financially independent. Has that been the case for you?
100%. Dude, Natalie used to send me, my wife was a housekeeper at the time when her and I met. She would clean a house. She'd make $80. I was so poor at the time that she would send me money so that I could live off the $80. You know what I mean? Like this was our situation. And now you look at my life and I think, anything she wants, whatever my wife's heart desires, she has, because she was with me when I was a bum. You know what I mean? And of course, today, if I was to go out, if I was single right now and I was, going out and talking to girls, I would have to wonder, why are you here? Are you here for me? Or are you here for my success? Are you here because of something else? Like, I don't know what it is. Do you want the influence? Do you want the eyeballs? Do you, I don't know. But I have in my life somebody that I can implicitly trust, because there was none of that when we met.
Right. You look at Conor McGregor. You guys look at Conor McGregor, his come up with his woman. Right? That's what I'm talking about. Having the foundation. My wife is the foundation of everything I do. She provides a space that when I come home from battle all day long, I come home to this unbelievable space that revives me and energizes me. Same thing with you. You get plugged in, you get re-energized, you go back out in the world. Now, I say this because I hang out with a lot of younger dudes that are doing a lot of wholesale deals, and they're always saying, right now is my money-making years, and when I make enough money, then I'll go and get the woman. You are attracting the wrong woman. I promise you.
At that time, you will, 100%. Because because I also this is my second rodeo. So before I met Natalie, and I had made money, and the girl that I attracted at that time when I had money, and I was out there mingling and dating, bro.
Yeah, same thing here. Zach Pate says that's the same thing with LeBron's story. Now, guys, of course, there's stories outside of this, right? People cheat, people do stupid things, but my experience has been find the right woman and she'll help you along the path.
1000%.
Okay, I wouldn't be anywhere as far as I am today without my wife. Now, I do want to take the last couple of minutes and just say, first off, I love you.
Love you too, brother.
Really appreciate you're the best friend I've ever had in my life.
Likewise.
And I'm just so grateful for you. Secondly, I want to say thank you to Tanisha Epps, who is now Tanisha Spencer. Tanisha finally got married. Super excited for her. I was able to go to the wedding. It was my first time to Virginia. We had a DMV meetup yesterday. It was 380 some odd people there. Absolutely epic. And Tanisha, we love you. You're so amazing. She's one of these leaders in the community. She's not just subto, not just Astro. She's across the board one of the best people in this entire community. She is one of the very, very few people I've met that when she had nothing to offer, she figured out how to find something. I'm gonna give you guys a little tip, okay? I hate ambiguity. I'm gonna make a t-shirt that says ambiguity is bullshit. Ambiguity. I don't like when people are like synergy, scale. It's like, no, give me some real
life stuff.
Give me some tactical stuff.
Yeah.
When you're brand new, let's say you join Astro, you join Subto, you join whatever, and you're like, I don't have anything to offer. I have nothing to offer. This is what Tanisha did. This is one of 1,000 examples I could give you. Tanisha comes into Subto 2.5 years ago, roughly, a little bit over 2 years ago. She's not a real estate person. She's an insurance person. She comes in and she didn't ask, okay? She didn't ask, what can I do for this community? This is what she did. She started realizing that the same questions were being asked over and over and over. The same questions. So what she did is she said, I see that Pace is answering the same question every time he's on Zoom. I'm going to go and find the answer in the Zoom vault, and I'm going to create a master list of the top 25 questions that I see Pace answer on the Zoom vault. And when people ask them in the Q&A, I'm going to let Pace avoid having to answer every single one of those questions over and over and over. So she would come in, and all of a sudden, somebody comes in and goes, Pace, I have a question about, okay, DTI. Bing, right in the side chat. It's like she had copied and pasted. Here's the answer to any question about DTI. 1.5 hours on a Zoom, and here's the Zoom link. She put it in the side chat before the person finished answering their question. She was so aware of what was going on, and she said, how do I fill in the gaps of people that are missing this value? And she was helping me. And all of a sudden, now the Q&As are going faster and the same questions. We stopped answering all the same questions 100 times. We started getting to more nitty-gritty stuff. She elevated the entire community. And more important than that, she went into the Zoom. She calls me up. She goes, do you mind if I go in the Zoom vault and I reorganize the way that people search for things? They find things from the last 3 years of Zooms being done so that you can start answering more elevated, more in-depth questions and doing all sorts of series that I do now. She literally has made thousands of people millions of dollars because of what she noticed before she'd ever done a real estate deal.
That's it. So when we had people in the chat today saying, hey guys, how can I add to you? Pay attention and do something.
Yeah, see, Redding says, I've never heard this. When you guys hear me talk about Tanisha and give her gratitude, it wasn't even so much the things that she did. It was the way she did them without being asked to do them. You want to get my attention? There's a guy yesterday. I'm in DMV, and this guy goes, "Can I just get 5 minutes of your time? I need 5 minutes of your time." Mahmoud, what do you think this guy wants from me? He wants to pitch a business to me. He goes, "But you can promote it to your audience, and you can do this, that, and the other." I'm like, "Whose product is it?" It's mine. Okay, and I'm listening to him, nodding my head, and I'm thinking, how fast can I get out of this conversation? Okay, sweet guy, really nice guy. But the first interaction he has with me is pitching me something.
Mhm.
My first interaction and the 100 interactions I had with Tanisha after I first met her was always about her watching what I was doing and figuring out how do I fill in the gaps of what this guy is doing. I see he's on a mission. How can I be a part of that mission? She never asked me once how she could provide value for me.
She just did it.
She noticed and she did it.
Yep. That's it.
Okay. So we went long tonight, 5 minutes long. I apologize. We should have done some Q&A. We didn't do any Q&A.
It's all good, dude. You haven't been on Wholesale Hotline for a minute, so it was just great to hear from you and be able to see you. There's a lot of folks that missed you. So, guys, if you love Pace, give him some love in the chat. Everybody send Brent some healing vibes. The guy's got a sore throat today, so we'll let you off the hook, Brent. But we'll be back next week again for another Wholesale Hotline. What number was this one, bro?
This is 184.
God,
We're nearing 4 years of doing this.
my goodness.
Yeah, 4 years. That's
My
pretty
goodness.
amazing. Yeah.
Wholesale Hotline number 184. We out.
We out.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say that thing.
Why?
I don't know. I
Okay.
forgot. So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil does.